ഖത്തർ എയർവേസിലല്ലായിരുന്നു.
Hello all. Welcome to the session. Today's session is a continuation of the last week's entrepreneurial modules we were discussing. So let's quickly brush up what we have discussed in the last week. The last week we have discussed about entrepreneur, the various definitions given by various thinkers, the nature of entrepreneurs, some of the characteristics of entrepreneurs, and the classification of entrepreneurs based on various categories. First classification was based on the type of business. Then the classification based on the use of technology. Next was classification based on motivation and according to the stages of development. And the we have seen the classification given by Clarence Denoff. Lastly, we have seen the classification based on the size of business. In today's session, we'll be continuing with the functions of entrepreneur. So, for the ease of understanding, the various activities or functions undertaken by the entrepreneur is classified into 4 different categories. So, some of the functions will be classified as entrepreneurial functions. The next classification is promotional functions. The third classification is managerial functions, and the last classification based on commercial activities. So it's commercial functions. Now let's see each of the classification in detail. So the first category is entrepreneurial functions. So as we know, an entrepreneur is a person who involves in carrying out a business or entrepreneurial activity. And we have seen in the nature of entrepreneur, we have seen that he's an innovator, he's a risk taker, he's an organizer, he's a leader, etc. So similarly, in this, we will be connecting those natures with the functions the entrepreneurs undertake. So entrepreneurial functions are simply those activities undertaken by the entrepreneur to carry out the enterprise. So the first category of function is entrepreneurial functions, and the first in the list is innovation. So, as we know, an entrepreneur is the person who always looks for change, is the one always looks for new products. He checks for the opportunities for something new to innovate. He's the one who's have the drive to innovate. So he'll be the one who looking into the environment or in the business and identifies the need in the business or demand. He identifies a new demand for a product and he responds to it. So the first function is innovations. So innovative function or innovation. Second function is risk-taking function. Entrepreneurs, as we have said in the earlier session, is the front man of the business. He's the one who's involved in the business from its inception or its initial stage to its final delivery of product. So an entrepreneur has to deal with a lot of uncertainties while carry out this the enterprise. So he'll be have an enterprise which is working in a is operating in an uncertain environment, has to face a lot of uncertainty. A lot of decisions need to be undertaken to carry out the day-to-day functions of the enterprise. So you have to take those decisions which are in an uncertain nature. So those uncertainties brings a risk factor to the decisions and he's the one who is bearing the risk. So the second function is risk-taking function. The third category, we have seen that entrepreneur is the person who accumulates the various factors of production. So the third category of function is organizational building function or organizational function. So I hope these 3 points are clear to you. This is simple as we have discussed in the earlier session. We connect it with the nature of entrepreneur. So the entrepreneurial functions are innovation function, risk-taking function, and organization building function. Now let's see the promotional functions undertaken by the entrepreneur. The first in the list is idea evolving. Idea evolving means an entrepreneur, as we have said earlier, is the one who identifies a opportunity in the business or opportunity in the environment or in the market. He's the one who identifies the need for a new product in the market. There will be a demand in the market which is not addressed or an untapped opportunity is identified by the entrepreneur. So he's the one who generates the ideas, who generate a business idea or a product idea in order to tap that opportunity. So the first function in this category is idea evolving. Next is detailed investigation function. That is, no entrepreneur or no business will invest money without first understanding or analyzing the idea they have generated. They won't be simply putting their money into business.
Very
Any
coffee
will be analyzed and evaluated about for the feasibility of the product, whether the product or the idea is feasible enough. Maybe there is a demand in the market, but it may not be feasible for the entrepreneur to convert it into a product which could be consumed by the customer. So the second function they undertake is a detailed investigation function. So in this function, so what they do is they check for the feasibility, they do a detailed market analysis. The third function in this category is assembly requirements. As we said in the organizing function, similar to that. The entrepreneur is the one who assembles the various factors of production. He's the one who identifies or accumulates resources, the talents, the software, the other technologies. So assembling function. Last in this session is financing function. As we know, an entrepreneur is the one who leads a business, or he is kind of an owner to the business. So he is the one responsible for identifying the fund for the business. He is the one who finances the business. He is the one who analyzes the requirement of the what finances require, how much amount of money is required to be utilized for the product or for a particular activity. And he's the one who identifies from which source this fund need to be collected, whether it should be an internal source or an external source. These decisions are taken by the entrepreneur. So he acts as a financing agent. Next is the category managerial functions. As we know, managerial functions means the functions undertaken by the entrepreneurs in order to run the business, in order to run the management of the business, or how he manages the enterprise. So the functions include planning function, organizing function, staffing function, directing function, leadership, communication, then motivation, coordination and controlling functions. So let's see each of this in detail. So the planning function, planning means thinking before doing, or it's the stage, it is a predetermined course of action where the entrepreneur in planning function, what the entrepreneur do is they decide or he plans in advance what to be done, how to be done, when to be done, who is going to do that particular process, or how that is going to be executed, etc. So planning is doing, thinking before acting, and it's a predetermined course of action to understand how that particular action need to be implemented. The second in the list is organizing function. We have seen in the earlier session as well. Organizing means bringing together, accumulating the various requirements or resources required to carry out the business. So in this managerial function, what we mean by organizing means he's the one who is responsible for accumulating the various resources to carry out the business activity. Not just the factors of production, but also he brings together various
இன்னும் நேரம் பண்ணிருக்கிறேன் 30% தான் இருக்கு
various he's the one who is responsible to bring out the various talents or skills in order to ensure that the efficiency of the activity is undertaken or a product is delivered with maximum utilization of that resources, which is of the product is delivered with less cost but with maximum efficiency. Now the third function is staffing function. I think you're familiar with this one. Staffing function is associated with the recruitment activity, or the entrepreneur is vested with the responsibility. Entrepreneur or the people who are assigned by the entrepreneur. So if it is in a sole proprietorship concept, or if it is in a corporate setup, this may vary. So in a sole proprietor, the entrepreneur is the one who identifies the talents for carrying out the entrepreneurial activity. So this includes identifying the talents or accumulating the skills required to carry out a function, then training, then their motivations, the staffing function includes even the hiring and firing activity. Now the fourth activity is directing. Directing function means the entrepreneur is responsible for directing the employees or the subordinates to ensure that a particular action is undertaken in the right sense. So they might be some of the policies might have been taken by the entrepreneur. He's responsible to ensure that it is being properly communicated to the subordinates, and he is the one who supervises the subordinates to ensure that the final objective is attained. Leadership function. So as we know, an entrepreneur is a leader. An entrepreneur should possess the quality of a leader so as to ensure that his enterprise is going in a successful path. So entrepreneurial functions include leadership activities where the entrepreneur leads the team. He's the one responsible for identifying the talents. He's the one responsible for creating a team. He's the one leads the team to the desired goals. He stands as a role model to ensure that the final objective is achieved with maximum efficiency and less. Then the next function is communication function. Communication is very important to ensure that the initial inceptive idea is correctly being executed. So the entrepreneur is the one responsible for ensuring that the idea of the product, his idea of the product is being properly communicated to the investors so that the interest of the investors could be generated. It should be properly communicated to the employees so that they would be worked towards ensuring the final objective in the right sense at the right time. And proper communication or communication functions ensures that smooth flow of work happens in the enterprise. Also helps in ensuring that the subordinates work in accordance with his plan, the entrepreneur's plan. Now, the next managerial function is motivation function. Motivation function simply refers to that the leaders or entrepreneurs are responsible for motivating the subordinates to ensure that they work without lethargy or they work towards a goal with adequate enthusiasm. So he's the one who motivates the subordinates to ensure that the final objective or final goal, the profit is attained. Motivation could be either financial motivation or non-financial motivation. Financial motivation includes salary hikes, bonuses, incentives given to the employees, etc. And the non-financial motivation could be recognition of work, paid holidays, paid leaves, etc. Now the second last function is coordination function. Similar to what we have discussed in the organization function. In organization function, he accumulates the various factors of production to ensure the final product is delivered. In coordination function, the entrepreneur is the one who coordinates the activities undertaken by various departments of the organization. So, entrepreneur is vested with the responsibility of coordinating the activities undertaken, all the activities undertaken by all the departments of the business to guide it to or navigate it to the final symbol big objective of the organization. Coordination also ensures that smooth workflow is guaranteed in the organization. So, entrepreneur is vested with the responsibility of coordination. Or entrepreneur, or in the sense, the team allocated by the entrepreneur. In case of a bigger organization, it will be the team. Or in a sole proprietorship or a small scale business, it is simply the entrepreneur doing or is vested with these activities. The last one is controlling function. Controlling functions ensures that the entrepreneur checks whether the activities or the actions undertaken by the employees are as per the standard set or whether it is going as per the plan given to them. They'll in this case, the entrepreneur checks for any deviation from the actual standard set. If he finds any deviation, the corrective actions should be taken so as to ensure that the activities are undertaken or undertaken in order to deliver the final product at the right time to the right market or to the right customer targets. Now, on the basis of commercial activities undertaken, the functions are classified into 4. The first function is production function. Production function, as the name suggests, is related with the production of products, maybe the production of a good or service. So the entrepreneur is involved in taking the decisions regarding the manufacturing of a product or a service. He is involved in the decisions of setting up of policies and procedures. He is the one who plans for deciding how the administration need to be undertaken in the organization. He is involved in the decisions regarding packaging, all activities which comes under the category of production is vested with the responsibility is vested with the entrepreneur. So that's about production function. Next is marketing function. So marketing means marketing the product into the right customers or sending the product or services generated by the entrepreneur or the enterprise into the right market. So in this section, what the entrepreneur is responsible to do is he is the one who decides the 4 piece of marketing, or he is the one who decides about the marketing mix, how the product is to be developed, how the product is to be marketed to the customer, what price it should be assigned to, which market to be focused on, how the product should be, showcased to the customer, how it is being positioned in the minds of the customer, etc. And the next function is accounting function. All businesses need to maintain their books of accounts. So it is the responsibility of the entrepreneur or the owner of the business to ensure that the team is maintaining or he or the team is maintaining the book of records. Books of records are maintained accurately, timely, and without any manipulation. This involves the financial reporting aspects and auditing aspects of the business. Then finance aspect, as we have seen in the second function category, promotional functions category. Similar to that, the finance functions where the entrepreneur is vested with the responsibility. He is doing the activities in order to find the finance for the business in order to successfully run the business. He's the one who decides how much finance is required, how much fund is required for the business to be operating in the market, for the business to be, to start the business, or in what stage, how much fund is required. He's the one who assigns the finance to, assigns the amount of finance for each stage of the business. And he's the one who's responsible for taking the financial decisions at the time of shortages, at the time of dealing with a challenge, at the time of maybe at the time of a promotional activity. He's the one who decides how much fund need to be allocated to that promotional activity. He's the one who decides from which source this finance need to be taken, whether it is from an internal source, like, on account, from money from on account, or money from the earlier year's profit, or whether the finance need to be taken from outside, like loans, by selling their shares, or looking for an angel investor, etc. So these are all about the commercial functions. Let's quickly brush up about functions again. So entrepreneurial functions are categorized into 4 for the sake of understanding. The first is entrepreneurial function itself. These are the functions that are involved with the activities undertaken by the entrepreneur to carry out an enterprise. It includes innovative function, risk-taking function, organization building function. Second category is promotional functions, which includes the idea generation or idea evolving function, detailed investigation, that is checking the feasibility. Third function is assembly requirement, or accumulating the resources in order to provide the in order to generate the product in an efficient manner. Then financing function, that is accumulating the fund and deciding from which source the finance need to be generated. The third category is managerial function. It includes planning function, organizing function, staffing function, directing, leadership, communication, motivation, coordination, and controlling functions. Last category is commercial functions. It includes production function. Those are the activities undertaken by the entrepreneur in order to deliver the product. Then marketing function, and these are the activities undertaken or the functions the entrepreneur involved in for marketing the product or service he generates. Third is the accounting function. All functions which come under the category of accounting, that maintaining the book of record, financial reporting, and auditing. And last category is financial functions, that is similar to what we have discussed. It's an entrepreneur is vested with the responsibility of identifying finance and accumulation as well as distribution of finance to the various activities. Now,
ಏನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು ಟಿವಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಹೊಡಿತೀರಾ ಟೈಮ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ಜಗಳ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಬೇರೆ ಇನ್ನೇನೇ ಟೈಮ್ ಏನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕೆಲಸ
wow. So we have completed the first aspect, that is the concept based on the person aspect. We have
ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಏನೋ
discussed
ಕಿತ್ತೋಗಿರೋ
about the
ಪತ್ತಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾವನ ದೋಸೆ
entrepreneurial
ಯಾವನ
aspect
ಅಂಗಡಿ
of
ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿರೋದು
enterprise.
ನಾಡ್ತೀಯಾ ಅದೇ ತಂಗಳು ಸಾರ್ಗೋ ತಂಗಳು ಚಟ್ನಿನೋ
Excuse me,
ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ
please
ತಿಂದ್ರೆ
put your
ತಿಂತಾನೋ
mute.
ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೇನೋ ಈ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬಿಡ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೇಳಿದಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀನ್ ಕೇಳಿ ಕೆಲಸ
Excuse me, please could you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. Now, we are going to discuss about the process aspect of entrepreneurship, that is the entrepreneurship itself. So we have completed the person aspect. Now it's the action aspect or the process, which is entrepreneurship. Now we are going to see the definition of entrepreneurship based on the point of view of Schumpeter, Joseph Schumpeter and H. Paul. As we know, Joseph Schumpeter is the father of innovation and entrepreneurship. So we always connect enterprise or entrepreneurship with the aspect of innovation. So according to the point of view of Schumpeter, Joseph Schumpeter. Entrepreneurship is an innovative function. It's a leadership rather than an ownership. So he considers entrepreneurship as an innovative function and it is a leadership rather than an ownership. So he identifies the entrepreneurship as a leadership activity where the entrepreneur acts as the leader rather than he's not the silent partner who owns the business, but he'll be the one who leads the business, who's involved into the business activity. So according to Joseph Schumpeter, entrepreneurship is an innovative function. It's leadership rather than an ownership. According to the point of view of H. Hall, he considers entrepreneurship as an activity, purposeful activity undertaken by an individual or a group of related individuals or associated individuals. That means the shareholders or partners. So it is a purposeful activity undertaken by an individual or a group of associated individuals. And why are they doing this activity? In order to initiate, maintain, and aggrandize the profit. That means to generate profit and maintain that profit and increase the profit by doing an production or distribution activity of an economic goods or service. So there's mainly three aspects in this definition. Entrepreneurship is an activity. It's a purposeful activity done by an individual or a group of individuals in order to initiate, maintain, and aggrandize the profit by doing. How are they doing it? By producing a product or distributing the product or service. So let's see the definition. So according to Schumpeter, entrepreneurship is an innovative function. It's a leadership rather than an ownership. According to H. Hall, entrepreneurship is the purposeful activity of an individual or a group of associated individuals in order to undertake, in order to initiate, maintain, and aggrandize profit by a production or distribution of economic goods and services. I hope this is clear. So, entrepreneur is the person, entrepreneurship is the process. The person who do the process is called the entrepreneur, and the process he is doing is the entrepreneurship. Now, let's see the various roles of entrepreneur in economic development or entrepreneurship in the aspect of economic aspect. So, it helps in formation of capital, as we know. By doing an enterprise activity or by setting up an enterprise, what happens? To run the enterprise, the entrepreneur requires capital, or any enterprise or any business requires capital to function. So by setting up an enterprise, there's capital formation and capital accumulation is happening. The ideal funds vested with the investors, the fund which is not in use or not in rotation in the market, that is called ideal funds. The ideal funds are being utilized in order to have a capital formation. So there will be flow of fund in the market. If it is vested with the investors without investing or without being used, there is no use for the money in the economy. The economy is active only when the flow of fund is happening. So enterprise helps in promotion of capital formation. Capital formation is happening. Second role is employment generation. For any enterprise, for any business to run successfully, skillful talents or skillful employees, and by running a business, the entrepreneur is not just satisfying his requirement or his profit. He's not accumulating his profit. However, he is generating employment in the market. Thereby, flow of fund happens in the economy. Third point is balance, regional development. Okay. So in the economy, we know there are different geographical areas with different financial backgrounds. So what happens when an enterprise which started with government give grants and subsidies to enterprises to start in less developed or underdeveloped areas. So by using those grants and subsidies, an enterprise set up in a less developed or less marginal area helps in balancing the regional development. By setting that enterprise there, it paves way for the development of infrastructure in that area, better healthcare facility in that area, better educational facility, entertainment facility, etc. will be developed in the area. So it helps in balanced regional development. So it helps in the upliftment of the underprivileged area. So there's a balance happening in long run. Then fourth entrepreneurial function is wealth creation function. So wealth creation by doing enterprise, by setting up an enterprise, what happens is the entrepreneur involves in the activity of producing a product that is sold to the customer, and by the customers pay the money for the product or service, and wealth is created in the market. And this wealth is running into the economy again. Once he invests it into another product, or once he invests that money he accumulates by selling the product or services for its expansion, the wealth is being redistributed as well. The next fifth point is increasing per capita income. As we know, the enterprise set in a particular a business employs employs workers for undertaking their business. They pay their salary, and the per capita income of people increase, or the wages or salaries for the person is given, and their income increases, and in a maximum scale or in a larger scale, it influences or it increases the per capita income of the economy of the country or the economy in which the business operates. Next point is increase in productivity. So what happens in an enterprise? What happens is they generate goods and services. And how is this done? By tapping the unused resources. The enterprise or the entrepreneur brings the various factors of production, the ideal factors of production. Maybe the land is being unused and the land is used for now an agricultural activity, or the land is used for building a factory there. So the productivity of the land has been increased. The workers, the unemployed people are being recruited into the business, and employment opportunity increases. So the untapped resources are being used, and the productivity of the resources is increased. Now, the next point is improvement in standard of living. So by running the enterprise, the company delivers products and services. The products and services is not limited to a particular tangible product. It could be a service like an infrastructure or a particular clean, for example, nowadays there is deep clean services where there are companies which are offering deep clean services. By utilizing that service generated by a company, the standard of living of the customer is increased now. So an enterprise or setting up an entrepreneurial undertaking or venture ensures the ensures or influences an increasing standard of living. Likewise, just for example, by paying the salary to the employees, their standard of living also increases. Last point is increase in government revenue. Once the enterprise set up, they pay tax to the government, and ultimately the revenue of the government also is positively impacted by running an enterprise. So the various roles of an entrepreneurship or an enterprise in the economic development is promotes capital formation, it helps in employment generation, it acts for the balanced regional development, helps in wealth creation. Fifth point is it contributes to increasing per capita income, helps in increasing the productivity of untapped resources, then improvement in the standard of living, and the final point is increasing government revenue. Now let's see the various stages of an entrepreneurial journey. So I hope whatever we have discussed till now is clear. In case you have any doubt, please ask me. I'll try to clarify. Alright. Now let's go on with the stages of entrepreneurial journey. The entrepreneurial journey is divided into various stages further. So the first stage is idea generation. Idea generation means simply the first, it is the initial stage, it is the inception stage of a business where the entrepreneur identifies an opportunity in the market. He identifies an untapped opportunity or a demand in the market which is not being met by any of the existing players in the market. So here an idea is being identified, a problem is identified, and possible solutions is being brainstormed. Possible solutions means alternative business ideas in order to achieve, in order to use the opportunity, in order to exploit the resources and making a better or the best possible result out of that opportunity. Right? And a market research need to be conducted to identify whether the idea is valid enough. The entrepreneur has come up with an idea. He identifies a problem and he come up with an idea, but he has to understand whether it is existing, whether it's not, it is an existing valid, requirement or valid demand in the market, whether it is feasible in the sense whether the idea or whether the problem he identifies is really existing or not. So idea generation is the first stage. Once an idea is generated, once he come up with a new product or service or a new marketing idea, and it is being analyzed and it's being identified as a valid idea. Now the feasibility study of the idea is being conducted. Feasibility study and planning means once the idea is once the best of the possible alternative is selected and a feasibility study is conducted. Feasibility study in the sense whether the idea is feasible enough to be executed, so maybe there is a demand and there is a demand in the market for a product, but the entrepreneur need to understand whether it is feasible for him to invest in that idea, whether it is within his action, with this possibility of action. The feasibility checks whether it is feasible for him to earn a profit. There are a lot of alternatives. However, it may not be feasible for the entrepreneur to invest in it. Maybe it is too cost consuming. It's not cost effective for the entrepreneur to generate a profit out of that idea. So before investing into it, a feasibility study or feasibility analysis is conducted. Then after conducting a feasibility analysis, a business plan is generated. Business plan is a blueprint of the entire business, or it gives an overall understanding of the business. We'll discuss the business plan in detail after discussing the various stages. Okay. So a business plan is generated. Then the third is funding and capital. So idea is generated, a feasibility study is done, and a business plan is, put into a business plan is being drafted. Now, the entrepreneur looks for the possible sources to accumulate the fund in order to ensure that the business is started or the idea is kick-started. So he identifies the various sources of fund. He has to find out, or a proper analysis need to be done from his end on how much amount of fund is required for each stages of development of that product or that idea. Now the fourth stage is legal structure and registration. So in the first three stages, the process is done in the mind of the entrepreneur. It is vested with the entrepreneur itself. Now he needs to legally register the business, legally register his idea into a business so that the business stands as a different entity. We have learned in accounting that business and businessman is two different entities. So in the first three stages, this idea is vested with the entrepreneur. Now he registers the idea into a business. he chose a business structure, whether in this stage he he decides whether it should be a sole proprietorship or whether it should be a partnership firm based on the availability of fund and based on the business scope. The structure of the business is set. The business is then registered and necessary licenses, necessary, permissions are being undertaken. The necessary license are granted from the government. The next stage is product development stage. So now the company is registered and the entrepreneur has to work towards developing the product. In the product development stage, once product is developed, they test the product in the market by, by delivering a prototype into the market, like a minimum viable product, MVP, that is called minimum viable product, is being tested into the market in order to ensure that the product meets the requirements of the customer, well, the product is functioning properly. So it is done as a test, or it's the pilot project of that product. It's a pilot launch or pilot product is being tested into the market, and the feedback generated from the customers is used to redefine the product. If the customers find it, this product testing or prototype is tested to a selected category of customers, not into a bulk audience. It's to a selected category of customers, and the feedback is being generated in order to develop the product further if required. Next stage is marketing and branding stage. In this stage, the entrepreneur decide on the brand identity. He designs a brand name, he designed a logo, tagline for the business. And in this case, the entrepreneur decides on the marketing strategy to be undertaken, how the product is to be marketed, which customer group is being targeted, and how is the product going to be positioned in the minds of the customer. What marketing techniques are going to be used, whether we are going to follow online marketing or offline marketing, what advertisement and promotional strategies need to be undertaken. Then they build a relationship with the customer. Okay. The next stage is sales distribution. It's a sales and distribution stage. In this stage, they decide on the distributional chain, what distribution chain the organization or entrepreneur or the product is going to be utilized, how the product is going to be marketed into the customer, whether they are going to sell the product through direct selling or on-counter selling, or whether they are using a supply chain company or a third-party supplier to supply to the customer. So, and what promotional activities need to be undertaken in order to increase the sales of the product, etc., is being discussed or is being decided in the stage of. The next stage is operational management stage. That is a stage. This comprises of all the operational activities. So in this stage, they design the various operational activities, what function need to be undertaken for recruitment, what function need to be undertaken for supply chain, what function is to be undertaken for their customer service, etc. And the entrepreneur or the management set up a team for carrying out the business. They select through recruitment, they acquire the required talents and skills, or they acquire the employees, and a team is being formulated, and they are being guided to ensure that the product is delivered with maximum efficiency. Next stage is customer service and retention stage. So by operational management stage, the product is launched into the market. And once the product is launched, the job of the entrepreneur is not done. He needs to follow up with the customer. He needs to ensure that proper customer service is being provided. He's able to address the complaints of the customer. He's able to support the customer, and the rapport is being built with the customer, and the customer loyalty of the brand, customer, a brand image is being created in the minds of customers, and this helps the enterprise to have repeat customers or repeat business with the customers. The next stage is growth and scaling stage. In this stage, the business now measures the growth, but they, after a particular period of time set by the business, they now evaluate how much they have grown into. Whether they have attained their milestones, whether they have, based on the KPI set, whether they have achieved all the required, milestones they have planned, all the required goals have been attained. KPIs may be on the basis of the sales target, based on the employee recruitment and other customer satisfaction aspect, etc. They will check whether these KPIs are met, whether they are able to grow in the business. In this stage, they will decide whether, if they are capable enough to expand to the business, they will decide to expand, or they will decide to, further, expand into a new market or expand their product line, or whether they have to stick to the current flow of business and go on. And if they want to expand in this stage, they analyze the additional requirement of fund and provide the further investments so as to expand to the new market or expand to the new line of product. Now, next stage is continuous improvement. As we know, our businesses, all businesses are operating in a dynamic environment where the change is a constant. Nothing is constant except change. So the business will ensure that they look into the market, they analyze the various marketing conditions, and they evolve themselves in order to meet the changing demand of the market. And last is the exit strategy, or it's the last strategy or operational. It is a very, this is the strategy undertaken by the business only if they are going to wind up. Some businesses, they are, from the inception itself, they will, the initial stage itself, they will plan till, they are going to conduct the business till a particular period of time. So they will wind up after that particular period of time. Or in the growth stage, when they evaluate their performance and they are not able to meet the target profit and they are still going on a loss, they will decide to wind up. So the exit strategy will be planned maybe in advance, or maybe in accordance with the present situation or the contingency they are meeting with. The exit, whether they will be deciding whether to wind up, they will decide whether to liquidify the business or to sell it off or merge it with another business, etc. Which is optional to the business at that contingent time or at that period of time. So the various stages of entrepreneurial journey was, first stage is idea generation, which is the initial stage by which an entrepreneur identifies a problem, respond to the problem and create an opportunity out of it. Then feasibility study. Third stage is funding and capital. The stage the entrepreneur accumulates and distributes a fund to the various departments or various activities of the business. Then the fourth stage is legal structure and registration stage. At this stage, the business comes into an entity. Fifth stage is product development stage. All the activities undertaken in order to develop the product. To redefine the product, they test the product and redefine it if required. Then the marketing and branding stage. Next stage is sales and distribution stage. After that, there is operational management stage, where the company evaluates their performance and decided whether to expand or not. Last, then customer service and retention stage. Sorry, operational stage is not. Operational stage is stage where they build a team and performs the business operation. Then customer service and retention stage, growth and scaling stages where the company evaluates the performance along against the KPI set. Then the continuous improvement and innovation stage, and last is exit strategy. Now, let's see what is a business plan. So we have seen about business plan in the feasibility stage, where an entrepreneur who come up with an entrepreneurial idea or a business idea checks for the feasibility of the business idea, and they create a business plan before launching the business. So how Now let's see what a business plan is. A business plan is nothing but a blueprint of the business. It gives an overall understanding of the business. It gives the person who reads a business plan the idea about the overall business aspect, how a business is going to be developed, the various functions undertaken in the business. It includes the plans for the various functions like how the finance is going to be undertaken, how the marketing, manufacturing, human resource activities will be undertaken, what are the policies, procedures, what are the business intent, like the vision and mission, what opportunities and weaknesses they are going to be faced with, and how are they going to tap their opportunities and strength, how they deal with their weaknesses and threats, etc. will be given. A summary of an idea of the business is given in the business plan. So, how to develop a business plan, the various components of the business plan. So, a business plan is presented with the title page, the table of content, executive summary, description, which involve the strategic intent, then the product description, market plan, marketing plan, the equipment details, the operational plan, the finance plan, management plan, etc. will be the components of the business plan. Let's see. So in the title page, that means the title page conveys the name of the business, the date of operation, the various details regarding the entrepreneurs, etc. Then the table of contents, they list the components or what the various topics in the business plan. The third is executive summary. Executive summary is a brief, summary of the entire business plan. It is being presented in 2 or 3 pages. It gives an entire idea about, if a person reads the executive summary, they understand and it's a gist of the entire report. So, executive summary gives an overall idea of what the business plan is all about, or the report is all about. Then description of the business. So, in the description of business, the entrepreneur discusses about what the business is about, how it should be in detail. So it gives an overall understanding to the investors or the persons the stakeholders, the shareholders, about what the business is about, how the idea is generated and going to be implemented, what is the end result of the business is. So it should be in detail and discuss about the background of the business, how the business is going to be developed, and other details, the history of the business, etc. Next is the concept of strategic intent. The strategic intent, these are the main parts of the business plan. So strategic intent is nothing but the process that helps the management to fix their priorities. So strategy, the components of strategic intent includes vision, mission, business definition, goals, and objectives. So in the strategic intent part, the business state what is the vision of the business. What are the value systems that the forefathers of the business or the person who is starting the business have in mind by undergoing or by operating that business. Then it also sets the mission of the business. So mission of the business includes all those activities undertaken to achieve the vision. Then the business definition. Business definition is nothing but they define the business, what the business is all about, which are the customer targets, what is the product about, how the product is in use, etc. Then next is goals. Goals are qualitative in nature, which these are the milestones which are qualitative in nature, which the business is running to obtain, which the business is performing for. What are the end objectives? And objectives is qualitative. So these are also milestones for which the business is going to, business is performing. So the business stands for. The difference is goals are qualitative and objectives are quantitative. So the business plan contains a title page, table of contents, the executive summary, which gives a brief understanding about the business, about the total report. Description of the business gives a brief idea of what the business is about. Then strategic intent, it states the vision of the business, the mission of the business definition, goals, and objectives of the business. Then the product description. In this session, the entrepreneur or the one who sets a business plan discuss about the product specifications. What are the specifications of that business or the product or service they are offering? The major characteristics of the product they are offering. So next, it includes the production process. What all production process need to be undertaken in order to deliver that final product or service? So what are the machines used? What process is being undertaken for in each activity of that business, etc. is discussed in the production process session. Then the USPs also. They mention the USP. USP means the unique selling proposition, which is the main character of the business that helps them to stand apart from its competitor. It gives the edge to a business from its competitor. And next is quality assurances, which are quality measures undertaken in the business, like ISO standards, hallmarks, marks, etc. Now, the marketing plan is also discussed. Marketing plans, it gives an understanding on how the product is going to be marketed. The covers the marketing, the 4 P's of marketing, and various other, how the product is going, as we have discussed earlier, how the product is going to be targeted, on which target customer, which segment of the customer group is going to be targeted to, or for which customer segment the product is aiming for, etc. is discussed there, and what marketing tools are to be undertaken in order to promote their products, how they are going to price their product, how the packaging is done, how the labeling is done, which marketing agency is going to, advertising agency is going to advertise the product, how are they going to place the product, etc. is discussed in the marketing plan. Then the equipment and material description, it gives an understanding on which all material, which all softwares, what the technology is being used in the production of that business or for delivering that service. Then operational plan. It involves all the operational activities, how all the operational activities within the business is going to be executed. So operational plan includes the capacity planning. What is the maximum capacity the business is going to be performed? Then personal planning, what or how much talent, what skills of the employees they are going to tap on for successful delivery of the product, for efficient management of the resources, etc. will be discussed. Next is the management and organizational plan. In this session, they give an understanding on what kind of management structure they are following, whether it is whether it's a sole proprietorship or whether the management is a partnership management, whether the leadership is authoritative, or whether they are going to be a very flexible working condition, etc. will be discussed in the management plan. And the organizational plan states whether the organization, the structure of the organization, whether it's a line structure, whether it's a metric structure is going to be followed, etc. will be stated in this section. Then financial plan, the sources of finance. It gives an understanding on the investors they are focusing into, the kind of investments, the quantity of investment, how much finance is required for starting the business, for various, at various stages of the business, etc. will be discussed in the financial plan section. So that's all about business plan. So business plan is the blueprint of the business. It gives an overall understanding about the business, and business plan helps the entrepreneur to visualize the business, and it helps them in the long-term decision making. It covers all the functional areas of the business, and it gives by putting it into papers, there will be more clarity on how the business is to be undertaken. So business plan, the components of business plan includes a title page, table of contents, executive summary, which gives an overall understanding on, it is a gist of the report we are presenting. Then the description of the business, it gives an overall understanding of the business, the history, the background details of the business, what is the business is all about, what the product is all about, etc. is being discussed here. Then the strategic intent. Strategic intent gives an understanding on the vision of the company, the vision, the business definition, the goals and objectives of the business. Then it also covers the product description, the various specifications of the product, the processes involved in the development of the product, the USP of the product, the quality assurance aspects of the product, etc. will be covered in this session. Then the marketing plan, which covers the overall marketing activities that is going to be undertaken in delivering the final product to the customer, service to the customer. It includes the 4 Ps, the advertising aspect, the packaging, the delivering aspect, the positioning aspect of the product in the minds of the customer, etc. STP also. That is the segmentation, targeting and positioning, etc. will be covered. What advertisement is going to be, how much, what target group the advertisement is going to be focused on, etc. Then the equipment and material description, it gives an overall understanding on the software, the technology, the equipments, etc. They are used in the production or delivering of the product and service. Then the operational plan, it covers the overall operational activities. It gives an understanding on the capacity planning and personnel planning required for the business. Management and organizational plan gives an understanding on the management type and organizational structure of the business. Then the financial plan. Financial plan states fund, how the fund is going to be accumulated, how it is going to be redistributed. And it gives an understanding or idea about the investors, who are their investors, and what fund is going to be invested, etc. will be discussed in that session. So we have come to a conclusion to the content discussed here today. I know I have crossed the time, but let's have a quick question. So we have discussed about the concept of entrepreneur, the nature of entrepreneur, the various definitions, type of entrepreneurship, the type of entrepreneurs based on various factors like motivation, type of business, size of business, the clearance of definition, classification, etc. Now in today's session, we have discussed about the functions of entrepreneur. There will be more, these are classified into 4 categories: entrepreneurial category, promotional function, managerial function, and commercial functions. Then next we have seen to the role of entrepreneurship in economic development. There are the various roles include promotion of capital formation, employment generation, balanced regional development, wealth creation, helps in increasing the per capita income of the country, helps in increasing the productivity of the resources, improves standard of living, and increases government revenue. Then the various stages of entrepreneurial journey. First stage is idea generation. Second is feasibility study, then funding and capital stage, legal structure and registration stage, product development stage, marketing and branding stage, sales distribution stage, operational management stage, customer service and retention stage, growth and scaling stage, continuous improvement and innovation stage, and exit strategy stage. Then we have looked into the aspect of business plan. Business plan is a blueprint of a business, gives an overall understanding of what the business is all about and the components of business plan. Title page, table of content, executive summary, the description of business, strategic intent such as the vision, mission, business definition, goals and objectives of the business, the product description of the business, the marketing plan, the equipment and material description, then the operational plan, the management and organizational plan, and financial plan of the business. So I hope all the contents we have discussed is clear to you. In case you have any query regarding this, please let me know. I'll share the slide with the concerned student coordinator.
Mom, can I ask please?
Sorry.
Can I ask please? I'd like to know a stage of entrepreneurial journey, second stage, feasibility
Yeah,
study
second
and
stage.
planning, please.
Yeah, second stage.
Yeah.
Would you like to get further, would you like me to
Yeah.
explain it further? The second
Yeah,
stage.
please.
Sorry?
Please.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
please.
Feasibility stage is the stage. It is the second stage. So what happens in the first stage is an idea is being generated. The entrepreneur find out a gap in the business, or he identifies an untapped opportunity in the business. Now, in the feasibility stage, what happens is, no, all the ideas generated to tap the opportunity or to deliver the, all the alternative ideas he generated is not feasible for him to apply. So maybe some of the idea, maybe some of the business plan will incur a lot of cost, which will deny the entrepreneur in getting a good profit out of that business. So in this stage, what he checks is, he checked the feasibility of the idea he generated, whether it is feasible for him to operate, whether the business idea or the product or the service he's going to deliver is going to give him adequate, profit out of that, whether it is required for the customers, whether the customers are able to pay for the commodity and he's able to generate the profit. So it checks whether the product he has developed or the service he's going to offer is feasible in the market, whether it is valid enough or it is in accordance with the requirement of the customer, and in long run is able to produce profit to him. So there's here, in the feasibility stage, the entrepreneur analyzes his business ideas to the larger market opportunity. And if he's able to tap the opportunity, he'll go further. And if the business idea is not feasible to generate a profit, he'll drop that idea. Is it clear now? Or
Yes, ma'am. That's done.
yeah,
What about the season 1 is done already last week?
sorry.
The entrepreneurship, the season 1
Definition.
is done last week.
Yeah, session 1 we have discussed in the last session, last week. I have also, shared the PPT to you.
Yeah, but last week I don't receive any mail or link. That's why I asked.
All right, I'll ask the coordinator to give you. I'll send the PPT again to the coordinator and ask him to, share it with you.
Okay, okay. Come on.
So
Thank
you're
you.
not there in the first session.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, your name is Said,
Well,
right? I'll
yes,
tell that.
yes, yes.
I will inform. Okay, Said Hassan. Okay.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
I'll share this PPT also. There will be a notes session down here. You can click on the notes and you will be able to see the detailed description for each of the points I have given in the slide.
Okay, please, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Now I think we have come up to the end of the session. Time is already up. Thank you for your kind cooperation. Thank you. Take care. Have a great weekend, all of you.
Well, have a great day to you also.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.